Hi, Holotable Heroes. It's Bulldog coming at you with another video this week. And guess what? This one is not about Night Sisters. My last video was doing a ton of damage, almost 16 million in Phase 3 of the Heroic Sith Raid. I had a ton of fun with it. I had a ton of fun helping everybody out, answering questions, interacting with the community. So far, all 4 videos on my channel have been about Night Sisters, but we're going to do something completely different here. And take a look at the new mod system, and actually not so much the system as the mod sets. And I want to answer the question, which set is better for your tanks? Is it a health set? Is it a defense set? Or is it some combination of the two? You can actually have up to 3 sets if you're using health or defense. So you can combine the two. And every time I see this question around the forums or on Discord, we get forwarded to this really nice formula here, which tells us a whole lot of nothing about calculating armor. Armor is not, or defense, I guess, in general, whether it's armor or resistance, is not linear, which means it's very hard to just look at this mod adds 25% defense, so this is what it's going to translate into the game. No, you've got to do all these fancy calculations if you're trying to find this out. I'm going to throw those calculations out the window. I don't care one bit what they say. Instead, I'm going to let the game calculate it for me. And I'm just going to stick these mods on a bunch of different tanks. Okay, a few different tanks here. And we're just going to see how the armor numbers change. Use those armor numbers with the health numbers to see how much, what I'm going to call unmitigated damage they can absorb. This is just straight damage. We're not going to worry about outside factors like how much protection can be healed, whether we get defense up, those types of things. Those absolutely will play a role in the decision. But we're just going to simplify it right now and look at if somebody's just taking straight damage, which is going to keep them alive longer, a health set or a defense set. And it's I haven't actually run these numbers myself yet, so I'm very curious to see what happens. We're going to put them on different characters because it might be different for each character. Things such as how much gear 12 health and defense you have that can play a part, because those do not get factored into mods. Some characters have a much higher defense rating. Some characters have a much higher health and protection rating. So we're going to take a look at different ones so we can hopefully answer this question and see if one is superior to another, or if maybe the game is starting to get more balanced and it doesn't necessarily matter as much anymore, and we can use whatever our best mods happen to be. All right, so enough listening to me talk here. Let's dive right in. Let's look at one of the most popular tanks in the game, General Kenobi, and we'll take a look at how the stats look for him. And right now I've just got my old mods on here. We're going to use the new loadout system and add some health mods to start out. This is going to be full health. Oh, yep, let's remove these. Sorry, I'm still getting used to this new loadout system. It looks absolutely awesome. I've just got to adjust, but it's going to make adding these mods so much easier. You got the filter and sword over there. We'll use those in a little bit. So anyways, let's take a look here. As you can see, with the full health set, we've got an armor of 42.7%, resistance of 40.39%, and health and protection here. So his combined health plus protection is going to be, it looks like just under 110,000. And it's okay, going back to the armor. So what we're going to do is we're going to take that health, what I'm going to call effective health number, and divide it by the percent of damage that is going to get through. So that's going to be, in this case, 57.3%. Okay, so what we get is 191,000, just over 191,000 damage. So if you look at the damage numbers for an attacker, that's how much damage he's basically going to have to do in order to kill General Kenobi. And we can run those exact same numbers with armor here. Or no, I'm sorry, we just did armor. The same numbers for resistance. And you're going to see most characters have less resistance than they do armor. Special damage tends to be superior to physical damage. But with that number, we are going to get... I apologize, I'm typing everything up on my computer here. We're going to get 183,000. Just under 184,000. So those are what his damage numbers look like with a health set. So let's revert here. And let's go to a full defensive set and run the numbers and see what they look like. Okay, so like I said, getting used to this new loadout thing, we're going to have to remove some from some other characters. That's okay. I can go back and fix that later. Okay, so now what I want to do is run these exact same numbers with the defense mod set and see how they compare. So you can see our effective health here is now going to be a little bit over 105,000. And the first thing that jumps out to me is that is not really that much of a difference. You'd think, okay, 30% health bonus, that sounds pretty significant. It only ends up being about 4,000 or so health. And the big thing is Kenobi has so much protection. We've got protection mods on here as primary, although we actually do have one health primary, and it really doesn't matter because those primaries are not calculated in the mod set. Those do not multiply. But anyway, most of his effective health is coming from protection. I'd have to go back and look, but I guarantee you he's got some health from gear 12 that's not getting multiplied by those health mods. So my initial thought here is defensive mods are probably going to be better just because the health mods aren't near as big as we think. And if you come down here to armor, you can see at 52%, that's a pretty big jump. So when we run these numbers here, we'll plug them in, and yeah, with the full defense set, he can take 220,000 unmitigated damage, and that's a big boost. That's about a 15% jump from the health mods. So in this case, we can run the numbers for resistance, but it's going to be about the same. So yeah, run these numbers and you get a 205,000 damage that he can absorb. And in this instance, it looks pretty clear that the defense mods are far superior than the health mods. If you were paying really close attention, you may have noticed that the defense set does have a little bit better secondary protection than the health set. The health set has a little better health. So the defense set is probably a little bit superior, which might skew the stats just a little bit, but it's not that large of an impact. In the case of General Kenobi, full defense is a better mod layout for Kenobi than full health. Defense is looking very, very good right here. I'm extremely impressed with this. This is actually pretty exciting that we're seeing such a clear numbers here. This secondary mods or secondary stats, mod stats can play a little bit of a factor, but it's not making this much of a difference. So I think we're done with Kenobi. Let's go over to a very different type of tank. We're gonna revert changes. We're gonna go back to his original set, even though we found that that's not as good, but I'll mess with that later. Okay, let's find another character here that That's very common. Darth Sion, one of the meta characters. Okay, so I need to create a loadout for Sion. I'm gonna put him in my default one. Okay, so I can go back to his mods later, and let's use these same sets. And I actually want to show you what I was talking about here when I said the mod bonuses were about the same. The protection. So yeah, we definitely have a little extra protection on our defense set. So that might make some difference. And honestly, I don't like how that's making a difference. So we're going to just create a new mod here. Okay, the health isn't near as bad as the defense, so let's switch these up just a little bit. Get rid of some of that protection. Add some offense to our tanks. Yeah, that'll be nice. It's a little more balanced for Kenobi than what I ran for Kenobi, but like I said, that extra couple thousand health is not making that big of a difference. So let's run these numbers for Sion. Now, I actually need to put the loadout on. That would help, wouldn't it? Okay. So here is Darth Sion. Okay, so if we add these numbers up here, if we look at our effective health, in this case, we've got just under 110,000. And with Sion here, we've got a very big difference between armor and resistance. So I'm curious to know if that's going to play any factor here. If we run the numbers for the armor, we see that the amount of damage, unmitigated damage, an attacker would need to do would be just under 213,000 to take him out. If it's physical damage, if it's special damage, run the numbers here real quick, and it's going to be just under 154,000 damage. So if this isn't really the point we're getting at with this video, but it's worth mentioning that special damage is huge here. When a lot of people look at attackers and how much damage they can do, they don't consider whether it's physical damage or special damage. You can see it takes a lot more physical damage to take out some of these tanks, such as Sion here, than it does special damage. So, side note, if you got an attacker, favor special damage over physical damage. Okay, so anyways, enough with that little sidebar there. Let's go to the different, no, if we want to revert, let's go to our defensive mods and see what we get here. Okay, so looking at our defensive mods here, the first thing that kind of jumps out at me is the health to protection ratio here is a little bit more balanced. Protection is still greater than health. It's going to be like that on almost every character, I think especially the tanks. But it is a little more balanced than we have with Kenobi. So that's going to benefit the health mods. When you look at the effective health, it's about a 7,000 difference, which is still only a small percent. And then when you scroll down here and look at these armor numbers, these armor numbers just look so nice. 57% armor, and it's still going to favor defense, I believe. And yeah, and so when you actually plug these into the formula here, 238,000 unmitigated damage is what an attacker is going to have to do. That's 26,000 more. Like I said, even if there's some mod secondary mod disparities there, they're not that. It's not making that much of a difference. And then, especially with Sion, when you factor in the extra defense he can get, that seems like it would be even more favorable there. I don't know why I'm getting excited, but I really like these defensive numbers and seeing defensive mod sets. I I don't know. I just think it's really cool having new mod bonuses that actually are going to play a huge role here. Everything looks great with these defensive mods. When you run them for resistance, again, 160,000. So we're still getting a big leap there. These are really going to make tanks harder to kill. So through 2 characters, these defensive mods are looking exceptional. I honestly don't even think I need to run the numbers for a mix set because these mods look so great. There's a couple more characters I want to look at that are a little different than most. And one of those is Vandor Chewbacca here. Well, actually, let's come back to him last because he's a very special case. Where is... Somewhere in here I have Stormtrooper Han. Here we go. And let's see. I'm going to create a loadout for him. And the reason he's a little odd is that, as you can see here, his health, he has more, in this particular loadout, he has more health than protection. So that's really going to benefit the health mods. And because the thing is, a lot of these tanks have so much protection, the defensive mods will... It doesn't matter whether it's health or protection when you're looking at defense. The health mods only help the health portion. So we're looking at this effective health in total, but the health mods are only impacting a very small percent, in some cases a very small percentage of that. The percentage on Stormtrooper Han is much higher. So if anybody, without accounting for uniques, which when we get into Vandor Chewbacca, we're going to see how that plays a different role. Without factoring in uniques, if anybody's going to benefit from a health set over a defense set, it's going to be Stormtrooper Han. So let's take a look. Okay, so when we run our effective health numbers, so if you didn't already know this, Stormtrooper Han is not very good at actually tanking. His role is more turn meter manipulation. So he is not really a very good tank. As you can see here, his effective health in this model layout's only 73,000. The reason his protection goes down from the mod set I have on him is because in this set out I've got a speed mod. I use him in phase 2 of the Sith raid, which is actually a very fun team. I might have more on that one in a future video. Love that team. But anyways, in that one he has a protection arrow instead of a speed arrow. So that's why he loses a bunch of protection. We're running these with speed mods. And not great armor numbers as well. So for the amount of unmitigated damage that you'd have to do to Han, physical damage 126,000. Finish running these armor numbers, and so 97,500. Much lower numbers than with the previous tanks that we looked at. Let's get first. And okay, let's get back here to defensive set. All right, so when we take a look at effective health here, it's gonna drop by a little bit, but only about 4,000, which when you consider Han has a lower effective health, that is a higher percentage, but it's still not all that much, not compared to the armor difference we have here. So his unmitigated damage that he can take is almost 142,000. That's 25,000 more than with the health set. And this is for a character with terrible protection. Even for Stormtrooper Han, these defensive mod sets are just tremendous. Okay, so let's look at the character that I think this will not be the case on. We'll test my theory here, and as I've already let slip, it's going to be Vandor Chewbacca, and let me show you why. Let's get out of the mod section, and so many characters to scroll through here. Let's go to our scoundrels, and he's here somewhere. There's Vandor Chewbacca. His unique. Wrong unique. Okay, the beast. This unique. He has 40% less protection, but 80% more max health. So I talked about how Han was... I thought he might benefit more from health mods because his health to protection ratio was much higher. Because of this unique, it's going to be even more so for Chewbacca. So let's take a look at these same health sets. Let's get back to our modding. I guess I'm going the long way here. Thrown off by these new mod sets. So, okay, still can't find him. There, he's over on this side now. Okay, and let's get a full health set on him. And now let's run his effective health, but we got to keep in mind that his unique. So we're going to factor that in here. All right, so when we look at his effective health, whenever we do our math here, so yeah, he's going to have over twice as much health as protection. And here in this graphic, you see he has more protection than health, but it's going to change to 29,000 protection after you subtract 40%. And when you add 80% health, it's going to be 66,000 health. So that's going to be a huge difference. And we'll see how the armor plays in. Okay, so 95 effective health. And let's see, when we factor in the armor, so enemy attackers have to do 146,000 physical damage, 123,000 special damage. Okay, so let's see here. We'll find out our moment of truth. Let's switch to the defensive set. And now we're going to look at the same thing. All right, and when we calculate our effective health, so we're starting to see a bigger difference here. Effective health dropped from 95,000 to 84,000. So we've got an 11,000 difference. That's much more significant than we've seen with any of the other characters here. So we come down to armor and calculate the damage, and well, I was wrong here. So 156 unmitigated damage with the defense set. It's not as significant. The advantage is not as great as with the other characters, but the defensive sets are still better. Although okay, so when we get down to resistance, that resistance number is so small that since these are percent bonuses, the Vandor Chewbacca can actually take, so the unmitigated damage with the defensive mods is 121,000. It was 123 with the health mods. So on a very low resistance character where he gets a health bonus and a protection penalty, the health mod set barely wins out. We found one where a health set is better against special damage characters, but that's you still, well, okay, the reason you would want to run a health health mod set for here is because of the other unique where he can actually heal protection based on his health. So for Vandor Chewbacca, you'd still probably want to run a health set, but for taking damage, the mod set would still be better. I'm convinced. I don't know if I would say I'm surprised. I had no idea what to expect coming into this. I am surprised that the defensive mod set is so much greater. And one thing we do have to keep in mind is that defense, the more defense you add, you get diminishing returns. We're using this on the 5-dot mods. The 6-dot mods are going to add bigger defensive secondary bonuses and a bigger defensive primary bonus. None of that gets factored into the mod set boost. So when you have more defense that isn't being multiplied there, that is going to hurt the mod sets a little bit. A lot of us are not going to have a bunch of 6-dot mods, so it's going to be a little while before that is relevant, based on the amount of slicing material I see that we're needing. I think 5-dot mods are going to be around for quite a bit here, and so even so, these are such a big bonus. That my takeaway from this is, if you have a character whose job is to soak up damage, you want to go with a defense set over a health set. And there can like I said, there can always be other factors. If you're running one of these Jedi teams, they're going to get protection up, which is based on their max health. So that's a whole different calculation you have to make. I don't think I want to dive into that right now. We've done enough here. We've looked at 4 different characters. The big takeaway here, absolutely go with your defensive sets. You can run this yourself with your own mods on your own characters. If you've got the time and like to play around with it, I highly recommend it, because your mod secondary bonuses will be different than mine. From set to set, they can vary. I'm pretty convinced that these defensive mods are the way to go, and I'm absolutely going to use this to adjust my teams accordingly. I'm really liking this new defense. I'm kind of excited to use mods in a different way. So if you're still listening all the way through, I appreciate you taking the time. If you got any questions, got anything else you want me to test out, leave some comments. Be sure to subscribe. We'll maybe look at some other sides of this. There's a lot of different aspects of the mods. The offensive side gets even more complicated. Maybe we'll try to tackle that later. I don't know, but that might be fun to look at using actual numbers. And so be sure to like, subscribe, stay tuned. I'm not going away. We're going to be back here with some more videos. So thank you, everybody. Have a good night. Happy gaming.